Let's see. All right. Okay. If there's anybody actually here right now, please let me know how the sound is. My mic is supposed to be plugged in right now, and like have better sound than like the MacBook mic. Although maybe it has really good sound, I have no idea. But so please let me know if anybody's watching how that is. Let me know how the fan is, please. I have no idea if that's like way too loud right now or not. I am, as I've said before, I'm in a southern part of a state, put it like that. It's way too hot here, so I gotta have some kind of fan on, I think, at least for now. So, but let me know if it's too loud, and if it isn't, I'll try to brave it without it. It says my bit rate is too high. I tried to lower it using OBS, but it still seems like it's too high. So I don't know. I literally have no idea what to do about that. If anybody is watching and they know how to deal with such a thing, maybe you can tell me. But yeah, okay, we're starting. It's a stream where I'm actually here on camera, and I will explain why I have not shown my face, other than look at me. But I will go into detail as to my personal reasons for not necessarily having done it up till now, and why I've decided that I might as well do it now. But we'll wait a little bit first. Yeah, like I say, stream health is very good. So I think that probably the really big news right now is Superman. Obviously, I've got him on the thumbnail there, but that was really just because I'm lazy. So I was like, what shall I put on the thumbnail? But right now, the big thing is box office. Now, I wanted to bring this up on the actual screen, so if you'll give me a second, perhaps I'll be able to. If Deadline.com isn't a bunch of dweebs, then perhaps it will be possible for me to add this browser extension, or browser, I don't know if I'm using the term correctly, so that we can see. There you go. Okay, so as you guys can see, yes, allow that. So Superman soaring past 200 million. I Know What You Did doing 13 million, and Smurfs $12 million opening. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. I thought that you could see that. I had it set up. I'm waiting because the thing isn't live, so I'm waiting till I can see visually that you can actually see that stuff. But suffice to say, whether or not you can see this, suffice to say that Superman is doing pretty well. Superman, at least compared to, say, like, everything else post-pandemic. And I know that, I can understand someone being annoyed if that's a caveat that I have to give there, but it kind of is. Because post-pandemic, things have not been going well, right? Things have been going, in fact, they've been going really badly. And so I think it's fair to say that in this current environment, this seems to be a really good performance. Now, excuse me, is it the best performance ever? Maybe not. I think it seems to be doing kind of what DC wants it to do for now. I don't know if they needed to hit $1 billion or whatever. Like, I know with I remember that with Batman v Superman, there was this perception that if it didn't make $1 billion, that it was like a huge flop. Even though I think it made like enough, but the idea was that because it wasn't $1 billion, literally, I think that was the number they wanted, and it didn't hit that, so they were like, well, it's a failure. Which, like, there's, I get it, it's Superman and Batman, but I don't know. It just seems like perhaps that was a bit too much pressure. I'm not sure. Oh, okay, it is up there. You can see it. God, so okay. I'm so far behind on this thing. I don't know what's live and what isn't. I guess I should just pull up an actual YouTube thing and watch myself. Yeah, okay, good. All right, so as you can see, I didn't lie. Okay, you probably thought I made that up. I was making up numbers because I'm some kind of insane person that does things like that. No, those are lies. I can't scroll down. It's like they just hate me. They do not want me to be able to do this. All right, fuck it. I'm sorry. I mean, I gotta learn not to curse when I'm on these things. But what do you do? What do you do? Hold on a second. All right. So, okay. Yes. Very lazy, and I don't know how to do streams really, especially like now that I'm showing myself. Because like before, I could put stuff on the screen. I could kind of just sit there and do nothing. So if I'm boring, then I apologize. So yeah, Superman is doing pretty good. What else is in the news? What else is going on? Let's see here. Yeah, so Superman drops by only 54%. I guess that means that's really good. I really don't know, if I'm being honest, what a good drop is. So, rumor, the Fantastic Four's post-credit scene was originally good. Whatever, I don't give a crap about that. Frank Castle suits up and kicks butt in new set videos from The Punisher. Special presentation. Yeah, I mean, like, that might be good. If there's anybody watching right now, what do you guys think of the Punisher in the Marvel Universe, or the MCU rather? Like, are you interested in what moving forward, what they can do with like John Bernthal, or do you just not care? Okay, sorry, my phone. All right, so I'm just gonna say. So the reason I haven't shown my face is because some of the stuff I talk about on the channel attracts a certain type of person. And I was thinking, well, you know what, I probably shouldn't show my face because I have a fiance and just stuff like that. But then I thought about it and I realized, like, I don't think it's necessarily going to make that big of a difference. And I see other people who I think probably are perhaps at bigger threat, and they do show their face. So maybe this is a mistake. I mean, it's not like I have some kind of particular big thing going on with these people, and I think you know the kind of people I'm referring to. But it's enough that I've always been kind of concerned about it. So this is, this is basically just me saying, I finally decided, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to go ahead and show my face just because, the hell with it, because I want people to know I'm real. Because I think there's like an issue that, like, theoretically I could be AI, like, because I use they use the Donald Duck face, and like I do this thing whenever I do narration. I kind of like, I do a bit and then I kind of pause and then I do the next bit. And the reason I do it that way is because it's just easier for me to edit that way. I also I don't really have great lung capacity. So all these things combined, I was just like, well, I'll do it in this. I just ended up doing it in that fashion. Like, I didn't start out doing it in that fashion, but I just ended up, that was the style that I did. And I didn't realize that AI does that. Like, a lot of AI narration will be like, they'll speak in spurts like that. in interconnected not connected spurts, like cut up, a staccato, I guess is what you call it. And so some people could theoretically, like, would think that I'm an AI maybe, and I didn't want people to think that I was AI. I think most people knew I wasn't because I'm so weird. Like, the stuff that I choose to say or choose to put into the scripts, I guess AI is weird. So, again, if anybody's watching right now, can you please tell me in the chat? Because anybody should be able to talk in the chat. I'll make sure that's the case. But please let me know if the fan is too loud, please. Because I don't want it to be too loud. If it is, I can do something about that. But live chat, everything should be fine. Anybody can comment, yeah, so it should be fine. So let's see. So yeah, anyway, so that's about the size of it. And I didn't want to go too far into it also. But here I am. This is me. This is my room. Well, it's sort of my office, if you will, because this is not really where I sleep. But this is where I work on my videos and play video games occasionally, sometimes watch movies here, although I've got a few different places in the, here to watch a movie. But here, let me see if this will be feasible without giving away too much of the mystique. Oop, hold on. Okay, look at that. See that? All right, that's last you're gonna get of that, because I don't want to. But that was a little shot of my physical media collection, and I'm kind of watching myself. I'm like watching the actual feed right now to see how this goes, because I'm deathly afraid of I don't know, just doing something that looks stupid. I mean, everything I do looks stupid, so I guess I should just accept that. But yeah, here we are. Oh, am I muted? Oh, crap. Guys, am I muted? Can you hear me? No. I think that was just the feed. I think that was just the feed I was watching. Okay. Yeah, I mean, so again, Superman's doing well. Is there anybody out there who doesn't like Superman, like the new James Gunn one, and they want to like talk about it? If there's anyone like that, I'm down to talk. You're good, not muted. Thank you, Tanner, my man. Tanner, of course, of our beloved brother channel. Is it brother channel or sister channel? I don't know how you'd put it, but friend of the channel, Tanner Leeser, the king in Jallo. Or Jallo. I don't know. But thank you for letting me know. Not muted. So there's a lot of people who didn't want Superman to do good. They people we'll just see people who are into the Snyder movies. And it's kind of fascinating that there are people that are like, let's just not stop doing this old thing. Like, it would be kind of crazy. I mean, it would be crazy, right? If somebody said, we refuse to move on from Rush Hour, right? There was Rush Hour 1 and there was Rush Hour 2. Rush Hour, if you're not familiar, are the films starring Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, I believe was the actor. It's been a while. Rush Hour 1, Rush Hour 2, right? And then you go, well, we refuse to let that die. Rush Hour was the ultimate form of entertainment that we've ever had. Those movies were the entertainment. We can't live without Rush Hour. I watch action movies now, and I say, this is awful. Look at the Rush Hour and compare it next to, like, just to the screenshots, right? Just the screenshots of Rush Hour next to the screenshots of a random like action comedy movie now, or just an action movie, and you're like, whoa, what am I? This is terrible. And so people, like, they go on a campaign. They spend thousands of dollars on trucks. They go around telling people on the internet they harass people. Not all of them. I don't want to be one of those. Everybody is the same thing, but there's some of them they do it right. They say they go after people that don't like Rush Hour and they treat them like crap. And then like a new movie's being released. That's like a new action comedy. And they're all like, boycott this movie. Boycott it because we want to make sure that Rush Hour remains in the top, I don't know. But that would be insane if somebody did that. And so it's pretty crazy to watch what's happening with the Snyder guys. And I mean, you could be a fan of Snyder films and not do things like that. So I want to make it clear that I'm not trying to rope everybody in to a single category or whatever. So and for the record, I might do a video on this at some point. I actually really like the Snyder cut of Justice League. I think it is vastly superior to the Joss Whedon version, if you even want to call it that, because I don't think he did all of that movie. But the Snyder version of Justice League is like an actual movie. Like, you don't have to like it, but it's an actual movie. So I'm not someone who's like, I don't hate every single thing Snyder has done. However, I have a very negative relationship with the man because he tried to remake Dawn of the Dead. And I say tried because I don't like that movie. I know a lot of people do. So, and of course it was written by James Gunn. That screenplay, at least he was one of the writers. I think he might have been the only one, but he was definitely one of them. I don't personally like most of Zack Snyder's movies. I don't like his aesthetic. I don't like his vibe. I don't like his philosophy, any of it. But I do enjoy people making things that are different, that are not exactly what I would have them do. Like, I don't think that we all need to be the same. Cat, quit it. But yeah. So let's try to find another article to talk about right now. Yeah, it's a lot of talk of this I Know What You Did Last Summer sequel. I haven't seen it. More like a City of the Living Dead remake. Well, I think Zack Snyder would probably fit that better because a City of the Living Dead remake is like, it would just be like so crazy. It's just random crap, right? Like, I love City of the Living Dead, but it's just kind of, it's been a while since I've seen that film. I know there was an overall plot, but wasn't there like a lot of disconnection in what was happening, or am I wrong about that? Because that was what it felt like when I was watching it. I really loved it, by the way. I want to make that clear. But I thought there was like a lot of it felt like there was a lot of scenes that didn't necessarily have to connect to another scene. Like, okay, because I'm talking, my buddies here. They were infected a people. Yes, that's right. That's what Tarantino called them. Well, that's what that Italian director called them, and then Tarantino was like quoting him. Sorry. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, so the scene in I was streaming. The scene in City of the Living Dead, where the chick, I don't want to like, ruin anybody's day if they're eating right now, but she basically, her entire inside of her body comes out of her mouth. I'll put it like that. I don't know if that sounds better than how I was going to say it, but so the scene where that happens, help me out, Tanner. The scene where that happens, does that actually connect to anything else in the film? Or is that just something that happens because bad things are happening because there's like a curse that this whole thing is like involved with? Like, does that actually connect to anything else directly, or is that just something that happens? Help me out here, Tanner, if you're still watching. Okay, so movie news: how to watch Billy Joel documentary. I mean, that's movie news, I guess. So hard to find good news these days. Do early reviews for Fantastic Four look good for the MCU? Yeah, the Fantastic Four. I think a lot of people are not particularly excited for this Fantastic Four because Marvel, up to this point, let's say Marvel recently is doing things that I think a lot of people are not very happy with because they're just kind of lame. They're just kind of not very impressive. And people don't want that. They want to be offended if, at least they want to have an emotional reaction. You can either really please them or you can offend them. And it seems like they can't do really anything. There's like no reaction to what they're doing. So yeah, then like that's Marvel right now. So it would be really good if Marvel could actually like suddenly, turn things around, make something that goes back to the roots. So here's Deadline. Deadline had freaking issues earlier, so I'm gonna look at a different. Let's see here. Yeah, okay, we'll try. We'll give the Independent a try, right? We'll see if they're a newspaper of the people, huh? That doesn't paywall everything. Yeah, we'll see. So, okay, putting it in the OBS. OBS, by the way, wonderful software if you're not familiar with it. Lets you do all kinds of crazy stuff, like what you're seeing right now before your very eyes. Oh my God. Do I have to see? This page doesn't exist. Oh, that's great. See, I thought it did. That was my mistake. I hate technology, truly. I hate it. But it is what it is. Hey. It is what it is. But I'm gonna find the article right now. So don't run away. Please don't leave me. Oh God, I feel so alone. Let me just here we go. All right. Copy. And then pasta. Let's get this show on the road. All right. Okay. Early reviews for Fantastic Four First Steps call film out of this world. They still write these things like it's the 1990s. You guys notice that? Like there is no evolution in their film critical writing. At least the stuff that's for like normal people, right? There's no evolution in it at all. So it's not going to let me scroll. So I'll keep this up and let me just read you what the article actually says myself. Initial reviews for the Fantastic Four First Steps are in and singing high praises for Marvel's newest film. The movie stars Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Ebon Moss-Bachrach, is that correct? Bachrach? I don't know. Sorry. And Joseph Quinn as the heroic quartet, with British actor Ralph Ineson as the villain Galactus, and Julia Garner as the Silver Surfer. And I believe that's the same. I believe that's the same woman who was in Wolfman, the recent Wolfman movie, which was horrible and every copy should be burned. She was in that as well. I mean, it's not her fault, but she did say yes to the script, to be fair, but she was in that. So if you've seen that, the original Fantastic Four comic books follow a group of scientists who develop superhuman abilities after being exposed to a mysterious cosmic storm. The new Marvel. Let me see here. The new Marvel film follows Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman, the Human Torch, and the Thing as they defend Earth from Galactus and the Silver Surfer. So we all know that, I'm sure, at this point, right? But what you may not know, the Fantastic Four cast will appear in the film alongside a variety of characters from the Thunderbolts, Black Panther, and X-Men films. Wait, did I get ahead of myself? Are they talking about the friggin' Doomsday thing? I feel like there's something cut out there, but maybe I'm just misunderstanding. While the film doesn't officially debut in theaters until July 25th, some have seen an advanced screening and shared their thoughts. So the Thunderbolts characters, Black Panther characters, and X-Men characters are going to be in this? I didn't know that. I didn't freaking know that. If that's true, that's kind of halfway interesting. Makes me want to see it a little bit more, but July 25th, it is... I know it's like a ways in the future and stuff, but that is crazy that it's... I guess it's not crazy, it's deliberate, but it's fairly close to the Superman opening. And, like, did Gunn pull a Marvel on Marvel? Did Gunn deliberately have the opening? I don't remember when these things were announced. So, like, did Gunn deliberately have the opening kind of, like, torpedo the opening of Fantastic Four? Like, I don't know. But it kind of feels like that might be what happened, right? So, nothing. This is Tanner's finally is answering the question. I wasn't looking at this before, so no, I shouldn't say finally. Tanner's answering my question about City of the Living Dead. If you weren't here before, I was asking. There's a scene where a woman upchucks her entire inside of her body, and I asked him, does that connect to anything else in the film? And Tanner says, nothing in that movie connects. LOL. I think you're right. I think it's all vibes, which I kind of like. I mean, I love Lucio Fulci. One of these days, Tanner, you and I will have to do a stream or something on Lucio Fulci, because we both are fans. So, Fantastic Four, will it do as well as Superman? I don't think so. We're going to see. And Superman is not, like, entirely beloved. Like, there's plenty of people who have criticisms, but it's doing very well in terms of, as I say, post-pandemic box office. Is that how it's going to work for Fantastic Four? I sincerely doubt it. I don't know what you guys think. If anybody's watching or wants to comment about that, give me a little comment in the chat. Do you think that this Fantastic Four movie is going to do as well as Superman is currently doing? Let's see here. This is an interesting article from CNBC. At the very least, the title of it is interesting. So I'm going to share this with everybody here. I read it so you don't have to, right? All right. So, yeah, once again, you're just going to see the title because it's being stupid. Disney spent 70 years funneling IP into theme parks. Here's why it works. I already agree before they opened their mouths, but... So, the happiest place on Earth turns 70 this week. Disneyland, a pillar of the Anaheim, California community since 1955, was a passion project of founder Walt Disney, a place where adults and their children could have fun together. It also served as a place where the longtime media company could show off and weave together different pieces of its business, from films, television shows, and comic strips to music and merchandising. Disney's portfolio of intellectual property has been the bedrock of its theme parks since the very first location opened its doors. These days, the company's experiences... Oh my god, I hate that they call it this. I referenced this in my video, in my FanFest video. They call it experiences... Oh my god, this is so stupid. Experiences division. The company's experiences division, which includes parks, resorts... Hold on. Which includes parks, resorts, cruises, and consumer products, remains one of its best profit drivers. Operating income for the unit for fiscal 2024 was more than double that of the content-centric entertainment division where the IP generates. Disneyland in Anaheim began with more than a dozen attractions, many of which were pulled directly from Disney's archive of theatrical films. This is true, of course. Everybody, this is famous about Disney. It's like, I think most people kind of respond to this when people complain about IP in the parks nowadays. It's like, that's That's what they do. That's the whole point of Disneyland. It always has been. Among them were Mad Tea Party, based on Alice in Wonderland, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride from The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, Peter Pan's Flight, Snow White's Enchanted Wish, and Dumbo the Flying Elephant. Over the past 7 decades, Disney has opened a total of 12 theme parks across the United States, Europe, and Asia, with another set to open in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, in the coming years. It also has a fleet of cruise ships, which is set to double by 2031, and nearly 60 resort hotels and vacation properties globally. Here's a quote. If you go back now 70 years, Walt knew the great stories that he was creating. If he combined those with technologies that were at hand at the time with this idea of an immersive experience, that he could create something that no one else had ever done, said Josh D'Amaro, chairman of Walt Disney's Parks and Resorts. And it really set the Disney brand apart. That's true. All this, of course, is true. So I'm not going to read the whole thing because I feel like that's like stealing. I don't know the etiquette, but the basic idea there is that it's basically like Disney's whole focus has always been IP, because what was Disneyland to begin with? Why would you have a Disneyland unless Disney was a thing, before that? And Disney was a thing. Disney was known as a property. So, I agree with this article, and I think people who complain about the IP stuff, it's like, it doesn't matter if it's IP. What matters is what is the IP, right? Most people don't complain if they like the IP. That's what I've noticed. If they actually think the IP is something that would be fun to see in a theme park, they don't care that it's not original, quote unquote original. So, yeah. Let's see. Oh my God. Yeah, I guess we're going to talk about this. I guess I have to, right? I guess the universe doesn't really care about what I want. So we're gonna have to talk about this. So CNN letting everybody know, because we were all really worried about this. No, Walt Disney is not cryogenically frozen, but he comes magically back to life at Disneyland. Does he, CNN? This one's letting me scroll. For the first time since Walt Disney's death in 1966, guests at Disneyland can get a lifelike, that's what you're going to call it, glimpse of the man who started the first animation studios in California, planting the seed that would grow into an international media and entertainment empire. Disney has... Oh, come on, Levi. Disney has created its founder in its most realistic audio animatronics figure to date. Is it, though? Is that the most realistic figure they've ever made? As part of a theater attraction about the humble beginnings of sometimes challenging periods of Walt Disney's life. This marks the first ever representation of Walt Disney in the medium that he helped pioneer. Disney was fascinated with the technology behind robotic puppets that move and talk in a fluid way. In the 1960s, Disney and his team trademarked audio animatronics as they apply the technology in Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room attraction and made Abraham Lincoln talk and move in 1964 World's Fair attraction. There's also 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the Bob Matty squid. That was really the first animatronics that they did, and then they moved on. I mean, I'm not saying that they're wrong, they just didn't mention it. So, but let's see here. Using audio clips of interviews from Disney's lifetime, the creative team spent 7 years from concept to creation of the new Walt Disney figure using the most advanced technology available. The figure debuts in a new show, Walt Disney, A Magical Life, on July 17th, the 70th anniversary of the park's opening. The show featuring Lincoln which occupied space in Disneyland's Main Street Opera House for decades, will be temporarily replaced. I didn't even know that. Will be temporarily replaced by this new show and eventually be shown again in rotation. While Imagineers and many fans have been excited about honoring their hero this way, the concept was not embraced at all. Not embraced, sorry, by all of Disney's family. One of Walt Disney's granddaughters expressed concern that this robotic form of her grandfather would be dehumanizing. CNN was invited to preview the final results alongside the biggest Disney fans turned content creators and influencers. Oh, wow. You invite those people, they're going to give the most honest possible review of the situation, right? They're going to let you know exactly what they think because they wouldn't lie. Lying is for people who, do what they do for money, which is everyone on the planet. Anyway, they generally loved the advancement of technology to allow lifelike features and endorsed having this way of introducing the story of what... this is a really weirdly worded sentence, in my opinion. Okay, so they say that CNN was invited to preview the final result alongside the biggest Disney fans turned content creators and influencers, right? So that's suspect first off. But then they go, they generally loved the advancement of technology to allow lifelike features and endorsed having this way of introducing the story of Walt Disney to generations who have had little exposure to the company's founder. Now, you guys, see how they said that, right? You see how that was worded, right? What they're trying to say is, we actually don't know how to make this sound positive because this is weird. And we got a lot of negative feedback from people when we were there. I think this is the translation of what they're saying. We got a lot of negative feedback from people while we were there, and we don't want to talk about that. So instead, we're going to say that they liked the technology, right? Which is in this case seems like an obfuscation or a distraction. And then they're going to say, well, they endorse it. They endorse this as a way for people to be introduced to Disney. Usually, and maybe this is me, right? But usually in articles, it'll say something like, they loved it. They thought it was an amazing experience. They're going to come back again and again. That's not what these people were saying. By the way, I'm putting this on screen here, this Walt Disney animatronic, because I want you to see it. You know what? It is... I'll take back what I said. It is pretty lifelike. Does it look like Walt Disney, though? Does it actually look like Walt Disney? Because I don't think it does. To me, his head is too wide. His... you can see that, kind of fold or band of flesh to the side of his chin there. It's like a permanent fold. It's like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he does look like that, but I don't remember him looking like that and stuff. His head just doesn't seem the right shape. It's very hard to explain unless you've seen, a good amount of footage of Walt Disney. But this doesn't really look like Walt Disney. It looks really weird, and I think I understand why people, like myself, I mean, obviously I understand why I don't like it. I think it's freaking weird. I think that, I don't think Walt Disney would like it. I really don't. I mean, I could see the argument for why he would, but I think that, first of all, he would be like, you're comparing me to Abraham Lincoln, which is crap. He wouldn't like that comparison at all, right? Abraham Lincoln was an American hero. That's how Walt would have framed that. And he wouldn't, there's no way he would have thought of himself on the same level as the great emancipator, Abraham Lincoln. So, there's that, first off. Then there's the fact that it doesn't really look like him, which is friggin' creepy, right? I don't know if uncanny valley is the correct term. Feels more like he looks like an alien tried to copy Walt, and he got really close, but it didn't quite work, and that terrifies me. It terrifies me that it got really close. No, to me it doesn't work, and I'm a big Disney fan. I'm a big fan of the parks, big fan of Walt, and believe me, I know faults that one could argue about and stuff, but I don't think this is respectful. I don't think this is honoring Walt Disney. I think this is trying to honor the paychecks of the people who made this. I mean, it's not going to. I think people are going to not want to go see this, and I think it's going to be They already knew this probably wouldn't work as a permanent thing. That's why they're saying that they're going to switch it back to Abraham Lincoln eventually, right? They're already saying right now we're not going to keep it like this because they know it's stupid, right? They know that this ultimately doesn't work, and they're probably already talking about ways of retooling it, maybe changing the figure to make him look better. That's probably what's going on right now, and so they're already giving themselves a back door, the same way that they did with a lot of Galaxy's Edge stuff, or at least the stuff that's like digitally projected, like the Millennium Falcon ride, where they're like, well, we can just reprogram that anytime we want and do a different thing. Like they said, they can just take him out of the place, put Abraham Lincoln back in. So I think this is going to be, and I'll eat my words. If it's not true, I'll eat my words on this. But I think this is going to be a legendary fail. I think this is going to be a legendary Disney fail that we look back on and kind of laugh about. Like the birthday cake castle. Something like that, where we just go, well, that didn't work out. That was fun, but that didn't work out. I think that's what this is going to be like. Because this whole concept is ridiculous. And for the record, Walt Disney would have liked to have turned the entire staff of Disneyland into robots so he wouldn't have to pay them and so that they would never stop smiling. Like, I absolutely believe that. Would he approve of turning himself into a robot? Probably not. I think that's creepy and it's weird. And you could say that that's double standard, even though I'm literally making up Walt Disney's opinions for him. But I don't care. I think the man who made all this has a right to now I'm going too far, because now I really am like arguing on his behalf for opinions I don't know he has. So we'll just forget. I'm just gonna back out of that. Real quick. Okay, so let's talk finance, right? Disney and finance. We all love that, right? Who isn't fascinated by finance, right? So, okay. No, wait, hold on. Crap. All right. All right. Jim Cramer, maybe you've heard of this man. He ate a can of Spam on, I don't know if it was live television, but it was certainly broadcast television. And he calls himself a financial guy. I mean, he knows some stuff. He's not like an idiot, but he's kind of like, the joke is kind of like how frequently he's wrong about things. I mean, like a lot of these people, right? But, so this won't scroll, so I'm just going to have to read this to you guys. So, Jim Cramer thinks Disney is a very good long-term holding. The Walt Disney Company, NYSE, or DIS, that's the stock market, like registration or whatever, is one of the stocks Jim Cramer weighed in on. A caller inquired if DIS is still a good stock invest, and Cramer replied, okay, Disney's had a real rip-snorting rally from the bottom. This is quoting Cramer here. Okay, Disney's had a real rip-snorting rally from the bottom, but it's still only up 6.8%. It's got a good movie slate coming. Only sells at 20 times earnings, and the theme parks are doing incredibly well. I think the answer is absolutely. I think it's a very good long-term holding, and I encourage you to buy it right here, right now. A packed theater of moviegoers watching a blockbuster film produced by the entertainment company. Oh, that's the description of this picture. It's freaking stupid the way that was done. Walt Disney creates and distributes film, television, and streaming content, operates theme parks and resorts, and provides branded merchandise, live entertainment, and publishing. Because you guys don't know what Walt Disney is, so they have to explain it. The company manages a portfolio of globally recognized brands and franchises across entertainment and consumer experiences. On June 10th, Cramer discussed the company as he said, quote, we pivoted to interviewing Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, who traced out his plans now that the company owns all of Hulu. The stock was around 115 when Iger started talking, and by the end of the interview, at least partly by the day, it was at 118, and change. That's a tour. Sorry. I don't know if I said that right. 115, and then it went to 118. That's a tour de force performance. The kind of value added this network proudly provides. So that's like, that might be true. That might be true, because Disney is a company that I think is kind of always valuable. Like, I really don't think you can completely destroy Disney in any respect. And of course, there's a lot of people who, Yes, the King says, love the hanging groundskeeper Willie. Yes. This guy over here, I got at Universal Studios, Hollywood. And it was on my birthday. I went with a group of my buddies, close friends, and we sort of like stole that from a child. So what happened was, we went to the carnival games part of the Simpsons area, and there's a water gun thing where you try to shoot. I think you fill up a balloon, if I'm not mistaken, but you're shooting water, right? That's what it is. So me and my buddies all lined up and started shooting water. And then there was this kid and his mom next to us who were also doing it, and we beat him. Like I got the Willie. They got me. My buddies got me the Willie, and it was really not fair at all to the child. I mean, he wasn't like a little baby. He was like, I don't know, 11, but it was terrible what we did, and I will cherish that day forever. So Willie over there, or no, you know what? I'm such a dummy. He's over there. Willie over there came from that day, and it was a wonderful, wonderful day, and a wonderful time. Probably my favorite birthday that I ever had was going to Universal Studios, and when I got that Willie. So let's see here, and thank you, King. Thank you, the King, for bringing that up. And for allowing me to tell that wonderful story of how I stole that Willie from a child who rightfully should have had it. So Jim Cramer was talking. So get back to what I was saying. Jim Cramer was talking it up. Jim Cramer's saying, "Hey, Disney has lots of potential," and I have to say that no matter what happens, I think Disney always has a lot of potential. There's people who claim that, like, they can, like, destroy Disney because of its political leanings. And I don't even think it has political leanings. I think the people in the company have political leanings. So, like, maybe that's semantics. But the thing is, Jim Cramer, all these things aside, even though I agree that the Disney company always has potential, Jim Cramer said that subprime mortgages were a good thing. And if you know what that is, you know why that's not good. Jim Cramer was like, everything will be fine in 2008, 2009, right? Like, he was like, the economy will be fine, the government's got it handled, right? And then what happened. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just Google it. Google 2008 financial crisis. So Jim Cramer is not someone who should just be blanket listened to, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And yet they're quoting him as if it's like I mean, to be fair, they're not saying it's gospel truth, right? But they're also not pointing out that this guy, has said things that in the past turned out to be complete nonsense in a way that affected people's lives terribly, right? If we're being fair. And so, I don't know. I think that's kind of funny. Like, yeah, Jim Cramer thinks... if I was the Disney company, I would not want to advertise that Jim Cramer thought things were going well for me. I'll put it like that. If I was the Disney company, I would be like, can you bury that headline? Can you keep Cramer away from us, please? But, the truth is, for normies who don't really get into investing a lot, there was a period of my life when I really got into investing. Sorry, I wanted to show this clip because I think it's funny. There was a period of my life when I really got into investing, and I made like a little bit of money at it. I was certainly not like a real investor of any real note. Okay. But I kind of got into it as a hobby, and during that time, I found out that Jim Cramer is more or less a joke. Like, he's kind of a running joke in the financial sectors, or at least in the investment, like working man, average people, or working girl, right? Average people, working woman, average people doing investment circles. Jim Cramer's kind of a joke, right? So well, let me show you this clip because I think this is fun. This is probably the one thing I really hardcore agree with Jim Cramer on. It's the new pumpkin spice spam, right? Jim Cramer was checking out, was like showing off the new pumpkin spice spam, and then he starts to eat it raw. I mean, you know, it's cooked. Spam is cooked in the can. But the man starts to eat the stuff raw because he's so into it. He's such a fan of the product. Now, this is probably the one thing that I agree with Kramer on, because I do love the Hormel Corporation. For those of you who don't know, the Hormel Corporation won World War II, along with Disney and various other people. The Hormel Corporation invented, or someone at the Hormel Corporation, I don't think we know his name, or there might have been, I think there was multiple people, I'm not sure, invented Spam. And Spam was a huge technological advancement at the time. People don't realize this nowadays. Spam was huge because suddenly you could have meat, actual meat, that was edible months after it was sent out, right? Like, it was this huge thing, and it still is to this day, because you've got this affected whole countries, right? The king says, "Of course, thank you, king." I'm not sure if I took too long seeing that response, but I see it now. Yeah, Spam changed the entire world because suddenly you could have this meat, and people love meat. They don't just love vegetables, right? But even vegetables you couldn't do this with. It changed everything. But Spam specifically, like, it changed everything. And the U.S. government, of course, if I'm not mistaken, they manufactured their own kind of generic version of it, but it wouldn't have existed without the initial invention of Spam. Like, prior, if I'm, someone could correct me on this if they know better, but I believe prior to the Hormel Corporation, Spam, like, there was nothing like that where you had a canned meat that lasted that long. And so the Hormel Corporation changed the world. World War II spread Spam everywhere, and during the Operation Barbarossa, when the mustache bad guys invaded the Soviet Union, they would have died. They would have all failed if it had not been for what was called the Lend-Lease program, which is what America sent over. Like, if I'm not mistaken, they sent over trucks, like all sorts of equipment, but they also sent a bunch of food, including Spam. And Nikita Khrushchev himself, who was no fan of the United States, this is a guy who beat his shoe on a podium at the UN and said, "We will bury you," right? That was Nikita Khrushchev. He said that without Spam, the Red Army would have failed. They would have been wiped out. So if you're one of those people, and I get these people in comments for my, did this bad Disney movie win World War II video? If you're one of those people who thinks that the Soviets won World War II, well, that's fine, but then you have to accept that by that very logic, the Hormel Corporation won World War II, because they wouldn't have been able to do anything without Spam. And even the Lend-Lease program, what we gave them, probably without the very concept, the invention of Spam, it probably wouldn't have been enough to help them. I mean, I'm probably exaggerating on that one, but I don't care. I'm going to go ahead and do that. The king says, to quote Dawn of the Dead about Spam, "Don't knock it. It's got its own king. It's got its own key." That's right, the king. I love that line. I love Dawn of the Dead. And one of the things I love about Dawn of the Dead is that it's an eternal contradiction. It's a film made by a hippie, basically, that is satirizing consumerism and commercialism. And yet, the whole film is evidence to the value and the power and the glory of consumerism, right? Because everything in that moment that matters is material goods. Everything that really matters in that moment comes down to, can I get this at the store, right? And I mean, you know, Red Letter Media joked about this. If you saw their thing on, I think it was on Dawn of the Dead, but it might have been their Cabin Fever video about like the toilet paper during the pandemic, right? Like all those hippies were wrong, they said. So yeah, I don't know. It's Dawn of the Dead is a fascinating film for various reasons, and I'm not even saying like anything against hippies, by the way. Like, I'm just saying that the movie's an interesting contradiction. So, so yeah, Spam. How did I get to Spam again? There was a reason I was on Spam. There's definitely a reason, but we'll just. Oh yeah, Jim Cramer. So Jim Cramer likes Spam. So I agree with Jim Cramer on Spam. I'll give him credit for that. I think he is prescient in his praising of Spam. So, but we're gonna try to find another article here because all kinds of crazy stuff going on these days, right? So, did you guys hear about the guy who was caught cheating because he was at, I don't know if it was like a baseball game or a football game, but dude was caught. Really, I mean, I say that like it was just him. I think the woman in the situation was also caught. So if we want to, you know, we probably should give her crap about it too. I'm not saying we shouldn't, but both for, you know, I don't know if she was cheating or not, but he was definitely cheating. So that dude's in hot water. So I'm gonna go ahead. So for those of you who haven't heard about this, is the dude is like CEO or something important at some major company, right? And he gets caught on the Jumbotron. So I don't know if I'm sure you know what a Jumbotron is. When you go to one of these sports shows, they do a thing where they randomly will like focus on somebody in the crowd. So they were randomly focusing on someone in the crowd in this moment, and this happened. Oh no! Oh, duck. Yeah, that's a good idea. Just duck down into the ground. That's a great. Oh, look, and then they took advantage. They were like, "Well, you're not going to use this situation. We want to be seen. We want to be seen." Yeah, we go play it again here. Oh no! Oh crap! Oh no! Oh, we got to go. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Just jump down. Now, if he had any brains, right? And I'm not trying to give advice on cheating. Cheating is evil and wrong, and if you cheat, you should go to prison. But if he had any brains, right, he just would have been like, kind of relax a little bit, right? Like just kind of like loose, like try to get a little more like less comfortable, but don't like, you know, like that. That just gives it away, man. Like that just makes it so obvious that it's. What was the point? You know, so I understand this has nothing to do with movies, but I think that's hysterical. Coldplay concert. Yes, Freedom Fighter Girl. Thank you. It was a Coldplay concert. Are they the guys who did How to Save a Life? Because that is not how you do that, for the record. Tanner says also he was at a concert. LOL. Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah, you're right. It wasn't a sports game. It was but the Jumbotron is like everywhere, right? Tanner says CEO and his HR head. Both were married from what I read. Okay, yeah, so both of them were married. And they were caught in the most embarrassing, stupid way possible. So the lesson here is this. People who cheat are usually stupid. Not always, but usually. And kind of like how they say, like, criminals are often stupid, right? And so they're naturally going to oftentimes kind of stumble into situations where they just get caught because they didn't really think about it. Because they're stupid, right? They just went, hey, it'd be nice to hook up with this person, so they do it. And then this sort of thing happens. So, you know, this dude's going to be fine. Like, I'm sure that he has some other kind of job or whatever. But this is This is nuts, and this is fun. Like, this type of viral news is fun. It's not like a bunch of people died in a submarine. You know what I mean? Like, although that was interesting too. I'm not claiming that it wasn't, but yeah, I find this news much more enjoyable because it's Schadenfreude, right? Like, these people deserve to get caught for this, and finally it's happening. So that's fun. That's really good stuff. I'll try to find something else now. What do you, for those watching, what do you think, do you think that he will have to give up, will he have to, give up half his money or, over half his, but do you think the guy is going to lose his money because of this? Do you think that ultimately he'll be fine? Is there any way to get out of this in a divorce proceeding, is what I'm asking. Is there any way for this guy to pretend that he didn't do this, right? I'm genuinely curious if anybody has an argument as to how that would work. So, Anthony Ruby says, I came late to the party, so I'm behind, but my favorite Disney park story is how people smuggled in cremation ashes to the Haunted Mansion and dumped them in it. Yes. That's the craziest thing ever. Everybody knows how, unfortunately, people like to put their ashes in the Haunted Mansion. Here's the thing. Okay. They say human remains... They say that human remains are not good for you. They say that there's, it's unhealthy, right? For you to be around human remains. And so, I certainly do not advocate spilling human remains in a theme park. For health reasons, right? Having said that, have you ever seen Remain Seated, Please? Or is it Please Remain Seated? Let me look this up right now, because this is also something to discuss. And hopefully I don't get, copyright or whatever. I mean, there are people that do this all day. They just watch stuff, right? So, I mean, if they can do it. Remain Seated, Please. So, Remain Seated, Please is one of the most amazing documentaries I've ever seen in my life. And it's actually a YouTube video. It's one of the things that inspired me to start making YouTube videos, because it is a YouTube video. It's 23 minutes, something like that. But it comes off like an actual documentary. It feels like an actual documentary, and it has real emotion to it and real value to it, especially for people like us. Well, I don't know if you're people watching or people like me, but people who like theme parks, right? Anthony Ruby, people like you and I, people like theme parks. Remain Seated, Please is a movie that anybody who likes theme parks, I think, should see, but especially people who love Disney, and especially people who ever went to Epcot. Now, I unfortunately never got a chance to go to Epcot back in the day, to go to Disney World back in the day when it was in its heyday. I understand it still exists. I'm not saying it doesn't. But there was a heyday. There was a time when they were spending the most money on it, right? And that time has passed. Oh, why would you need to confirm age for this? That's weird. Well, okay, so we won't watch that right now. But there was a time when Disney was really spending a lot of money in Disney World and specifically at Epcot, and that time has simply passed. They know that it's a thing of the past. This is one of the things about theme parks, is that you spend a bunch of money during a certain period. You spend millions, and then you go, okay, that time's done. We're going to move on to another project. This area now exists in the park. This thing exists, whatever it is. And it should be good enough, right? Every once in a while, we'll run some maintenance, but basically, this should be good enough, and then we're going to move on. Unfortunately, it means that a lot of these things are just decaying, right? They're just aging, falling apart in front of our eyes. So, this, Please Remain Seated, has a sequence in it. Okay, I don't know how to put this. So the characters, I believe it's Disney World. The characters are Disney World fans, right? and I don't want to spoil the film, but the a character is dead, right? Actually, a character. What am I saying? A real person died. I'm sorry. I can't believe I forgot that I'm talking about a documentary film and not a fiction film. Okay, so it's guy Zed, right? And his buddy puts his ashes in Disneyland, or Disney World rather. And what he does is he has them in a cup, and he tosses the ashes into like the grass or like a bush. And I think, some people would be like, well, what? I mean, like, isn't that just going to get sucked up by the wind or whatever? I feel like putting the remains in a park thing is more of a symbolic or a spiritual thing. I mean, when you spread ashes over the ocean, what's really happening? Those ashes are going to get, caught up in the water or eaten by fish, like all kinds of things. It's really more about a symbol of what you're doing, right? It's really more about that. So it's, for me, like, people doing that, I understand why they do it. And I don't condemn them. Anthony Ruby says, comment on Robot Walt. The idea could work, because I remember loving the Wild West guy in jail at Knott's Berry Farm. I think I remember what you're talking about. I haven't been to Knott's Berry Farm in a long, long time, and they got rid of a lot of stuff too. But I think I remember the dude you're talking about. And I agree that guy was fun. Look, could you do an animatronic of Walt in something and have it make sense? Yes. I personally think that it would have been more appropriate to put him in an actual, like, a ride of some kind, like a dark ride that's, like, about imagination and about Disney imagination. Like, we start with the Disney writers and artists, and then we move through a painting and go into a movie, and you could do all kinds of stuff with that, right? Maybe I'm just guilty of saying they didn't do exactly what I wanted, therefore it's bad. Maybe I'm guilty of that, but I wouldn't have done the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln thing with Disney. I think that's almost a parody of what you would do. So that's my issue with it. And also I think it looks really weird. Real Monkey. Hey, what's up, Real Monkey? I remember you. Welcome back. Why not they just do a comic exhibition at the Disney Family Museum? I'm not sure. I know what you're talking about. The Disney Family Museum. I've heard about that recently. I don't know. I think that, I mean, first of all, Walt Disney himself had, like, nothing to do with those comics, right? Unless I'm mistaken. The closest connection that I know of Walt Disney having to the comic books is that he personally picked Carl Barks and I think Bob Carp. I don't remember the other dude's name right now, but he picked Carl Barks and another guy to do Donald Duck Finds Pirate Gold. So Disney was connected directly to that, but he really didn't have much relation to the comics, despite what some communist writers will have you believe, and that's a subject for a future video. But the King says, I've only been to the Magic Kingdom back in 2009. Yeah, like, I come from a poor family, I'll just say it, and so I didn't get a chance to do a lot of things when I was younger. We would, every few years, we would have the money to go to Disneyland. And because it was an every few years thing, and it was an expensive thing, it was really dependent on, like, well, we all have to agree to how the family money is being spent. It was my mom, and I had my brother and a sister. So, single mom, 3 kids. We didn't have much money. My mom worked multiple jobs. And so it's like, okay, if we're going to go to a theme park, we have to all agree on what we're going to do. And I would repeatedly be like, hey, let's go to Universal Studios, or maybe let's see about Disney World. But of course, that was impossible. Disney World was like way beyond something we could afford to do. But Universal Studios might have been affordable, but the thing is, the rest of the family would always vote me down, because it's like, we don't know if we're going to like that. We know that we like Disney, right? So because of that, as an adult, I take advantage. I do a lot of stuff on my own for fun. And you know, I'm one of those dreaded Disney adults who, you know, basically my deal is just that I like to do stuff that I didn't really get to do when I was a kid. Is really what it boils down to. And I don't know, like, I can understand someone thinking that's childish or whatever, but for me, it's not much different from going to Vegas or, you know, any number of different things that people do to blow off steam. So, yeah. Now I'm just kind of rambling. I must reorganize things somehow. Hold on. Let's see. Let's get another article up in this place. Let's see here. So I just learned about this from a buddy of mine. He sent me a thing. And I didn't know this before, and I feel ashamed that I didn't know this before. But I know it now, damn it. And so, hold on a second. I'm going to share it with those of you who may not be aware of it. So, we all know the phenomena of hidden Mickeys, right? Hidden Mickeys are, and there's a lot of these, hidden Mickeys are like, you know, the shape of like a Mickey head, right? That is hidden somewhere in the park, in the Disney parks. And freaking scroll, man, come on. It's so annoying. So I wanted to show it to you guys, but let me see if I can find another one. So there's a hidden Donald. And you guys, some of you guys probably already know this, but I'm going to share it anyway. In Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland. And this might be in Disney World too, but I don't know. And so I'm just going to upload the image. So in Galaxy's Edge, come on, where are you? I just friggin' saved this picture. There we go. Okay. In Galaxy's Edge, you may notice this, right? You got the circle, you got the beak, you got the hat, you got the ribbon. I never noticed this. And this is the coolest frigging thing ever. I love it. I love it so much. And next time I have to get a picture of myself in front of it. That is the most amazing thing. Because we've got so many hidden Mickeys. But you don't have that many hidden Donalds, right? And finally we got that. We got a hidden Donald. So I appreciate that. And I give major props to the guys who did that. Again, this is somewhat amazing. Look at that. So, for those watching right now, if you have any subjects that you'd like to suggest, anything specific that you'd like me to talk about, go ahead and send in a comment and let me know. I'm moving my fan because it's getting too hot up in here. Again, let me know if the fan is too hot. And there we go. Also, what do you guys, have any of you guys seen Superman while we're at it? If you have, what did you think? Do you not intend to see Superman? Or are you one of those people that just doesn't want to like the film? What is the dealio on that? Yeah, let me know. So I'll talk about Superman a little bit right now because I did a review, which you can see if you go to my channel right now. If you go to the videos, I did a review on it, but I didn't talk a whole lot about it. I think there were some details. I'll talk a little bit more in detail right now about something that I forgot to bring up when I was doing my review, which is a common criticism that I'm hearing a lot is, and I heard this even from the Red Letter Media guys. I mention them a lot because they're my favorite YouTubers. I think it's probably obvious if you watch my stuff. Even they complain about this, and I don't really understand why they complain about this. People are complaining that the movie starts like halfway through a story, or like it starts late in a story. Like things have already started to occur, and you know, we just start in the middle of Superman just had a fight, and it's like after the fight. I don't understand why that's a bad thing. I don't understand why people are characterizing that as a bad thing. James Gunn skips through all this crap that I don't care about. He skips through, like, the first act of these movies is always the most annoying part of them, right? Like, it's always like, you know, we have a lot of things that we have to get out of the way as like as a necessity. The King says it's a very wacky movie in a good way, very Silver Age. I absolutely agree. That's what I liked about it. Very Silver Age. James Gunn completely telegraphed ahead of time to the audience what he was going to do by putting Crypto in the movie, right? Like, the idea that Crypto is in the movie is insane. That nobody, if someone had suggested to Zack Snyder, why don't you put Crypto the Superdog in the movie? Zack Snyder would have grabbed them by the neck and thrown them out the window, and probably gotten away with it. People, the idea of doing that is nuts, and I love that he did it. Like, James Gunn really sold it. I think he really sold the dog. People are, one of the commenters on my video said that he would have preferred an actual live action dog, and I get it. Excuse me. I get it. I do, because it is clearly not like a real dog. It's CGI. The CGI is not. CGI is never going to look that great, in my opinion. It's never going to look like it's real to me. Maybe certain images, I think non-living things you can probably make look real with CGI, but living things will always be off, I think, in CGI. But if you did a live-action dog, in my opinion, and I said this to the commenter, it would look like a cheap children's movie, because we associate actual dogs with, like, no-budget children's films. We don't associate actual dogs with big-budget superhero movies, you know? Like, it would be really weird, I think, to do that. Not that, like, I get why a fan would want it. I get it. But I don't think it would work. Ultimately, people would make fun of it and stuff. So, and it would be a bad first footing for the film to get off on. I thought that the wacky aspects of the film were amazing. They were great. It really worked really well for me. There's a clip that you can see online, which I saw before I went to the movie and was a little disappointed. Like, oh no, I wish I'd seen this in the movie. But there's a clip online where Superman first meets Lex Luthor. A little bit of a spoiler, but not really. But he goes over to Lex Luthor's office, and Luthor says something to the effect of like, "Oh, hey, you know, we finally meet. Would you like a coffee?" And a lot of people would think that that's really cheap and stupid, but it's like, that is how those guys talk, though. That is how those guys think. Those big tech guys, like, he would ask Superman if he wanted coffee. Like, that's great, because he's trying to act like cool. He's trying to act nonchalant, like everything's fine, and like, you know. And in fact, that's one of the things I really like about Lex Luthor in this movie, is he's really chill most of the movie. Like, he's, until he explodes in a couple of specific scenes, a lot of the movie he's very calm and very collected, and it makes it reminds me of the Boys comic book, which is not the only thing in the movie that reminds me of that. But in the Boys comic book, the character, which in the show they changed to a female character, I completely forget the character's name, but he's basically, in the comic, he's the dude who deals with Homelander personally and is like the CEO, not the CEO, but like he's like the head of the company, head of Vought or something. So in the comic, the impressive thing about that guy is that he's not afraid of Homelander, or at least he can pretend he's not afraid of Homelander, like, to his face. And that takes some real some real calm because this is a guy who could just rip your face off, right, if he wants to. So Lex Luthor in this movie is very much like that. When Superman first confronts him, he's just like, what are you gonna do? I have the legal ground here. And that's great. I love it. All that stuff is great. Is it completely insane that he has spoilers for Superman? Is it completely insane that he has monkeys with electrodes attached to their brains typing comments to go after Superman? Yeah, it is. And I love it too. I love it. Because that is the world we live in. Like, bots are a thing. And instead of just doing like robotic bots, which is like, boring, he has monkeys. That's great. I kind of wish he'd done more with the monkeys, but I think the monkeys are a wonderful symbol. And if someone wants to feel like they're personally attacked by the movie, like, I get it. Some of the stuff is very specific, but I just think the movie's really just so wacky that it's really fun to watch. And you got Green Lantern, who is not a nice guy, and they kind of like that's one of the things that's fun about the movie is that it's a Superman movie. You get the hope of Superman, but you also have characters like Hawkgirl who will murder people, right? So you don't have to just be focused on the Superman values of good and justice and all that. You could be focused on more hardcore stuff as well. Like, you don't have to take away all the darkness that you may have liked in the Zack Snyder movie entirely. It's just that Superman can't be dark because that's weird, right? So, I really liked the overall kind of point or message that the movie was kind of hammering home about Clark and his past, his background, and his family. And I'm not going to get into too much spoilery stuff about that, but I'll just say that the ultimate payoff with his family, which you get in like the very last scene, very last moment of the movie, I think is just so good, so powerful, that it's worth, the basically destroying the lore of Superman is what they did in order to create that moment. And I'm not going to say, anything else about it, but that's kind of what happens in the movie. This is the King again. The monkeys was when I knew he was going full Silver Age, and I love it. Absolutely agreed. That was the moment that he's just nuts. He's just gonna do whatever he wants. Like, Batmite could have showed up. Like, they could have done all kinds of crazier stuff. A unicorn could have showed up, right? The fact that, well, I don't want to spoil it. Another Kryptonian shows up in the movie toward the end, right? The fact that Kryptonian shows up, that's cool. That's also Silver Age, right? Because there were so many of them during the Silver Age, right? He's got the robots. This is all Silver Age type stuff. And the truth is, we just had never seen it before. And he really took advantage of something that other people hadn't even bothered with previously. And I give major props to somebody who will do that. Zack Snyder's version of Superman, I'm not so sure, like, to make a comparison, right? I'm not so sure it was based on anything. Yeah, you can, anybody who might know this can tell me in the chat if they know this. I don't think Man of Steel was based on a specific comic other than maybe, like, there might have been some John Byrne stuff in there, but I don't remember. I feel like it was just completely made up, right? Like, it was Zack Snyder's version, and famously, the joke is that it's an objectivist Superman. Which, by the way, like, I'm not here to, like, speak on behalf of objectivists, but theoretically, an objectivist Superman could still want to help people. The idea would just be that he wants to do that, and that's why he's doing it. He's not doing it for any other reason other than he wants to, right? But that would be nuts, because that would be a little bit conditional, right? So, but the Zack Snyder Superman, I just feel, wasn't really rooted in any real conception of Superman that we had previously understood. And, I get it. You want to do a new thing. I'm not against doing new things. But I do think that you need to hold on to something. a lot of something from the comics, to connect it. This movie felt like a Marvel movie, or it felt more like a Sam Raimi Spider-Man in parts, not in parts, right? And I think that was the direction that they needed to go with this. And I think that there's a lot of potential with this DCU, or whatever they're going to call it now, moving forward. I think that there's a lot that can be done with it, and so I'm excited. I think a lot of people are excited about what's possible to be done with it. I do want to see, like, what are they going to do with Batman? Got to go. Great stuff. See you later. Thank you, man. Good to see you in the chat. I'll see you later, Tanner. For those of you who don't know, my buddy Tanner, I've mentioned this earlier, but I'll mention it again. He has his own channel, The King in Giallo, where he talks about Giallo films, which are Italian slashers, basically. Like, there's a little bit more to it than that, but essentially they're Italian slashers. And they're interesting films. Freedom Girls gives like a clap. Thank you. Thank you. So, I mean, I'm not sure how much longer I should go. Let me see what other news, right? Because there might be some, like, breaking news right now as I'm talking. And we didn't really talk about the Spider-Man thing. We didn't really talk about the fact that, and I've talked about this possibility before, but we didn't really talk about the fact that Spider-Man is officially going to have the Punisher in it, right? I don't think we did. I don't think I did a live on that. So, for those of you who aren't aware, there's a Variety article. Again, I'm not sure if I can, like, bring this up on the friggin' OBS, but I'm going to try. Okay. Yeah, see, it's like a ghost. But, oh my god. Here, okay. It's like all blacked out. But Jon Bernthal's Punisher set for Spider-Man's brand new day with Tom Holland. This is old news, June 20th. So I'm sure you've already heard it, but I haven't discussed it on a live stream yet. And so I'm reading here. Let me read the article real quick. The Punisher returns. Jon Bernthal is suiting up as the vigilante once again for Spider-Man Brand New Day, Sony and Marvel's latest web-slinging adventure. Bernthal first suited up as Punisher, a.k.a. Frank Castle, in Netflix's 2016 series Daredevil. That's true. Becoming a fan favorite before starring in his own spin-off series The Punisher in 2017, which ran for 2 seasons. He most recently returned to the role earlier this year in the Disney Plus series Daredevil Born Again. He's set to appear in the 2nd season and will return again for the 2026 Disney Plus special centered on Punisher from director Reynaldo Marcus Green. So, real quick, there's going to be a Punisher, like, special presentation, one shot, whatever you want to call it, that is going to, it's basically like it's their own little, like, Punisher story, right? And I'm excited about that. I think that sounds like that could be really fun. I Punisher deserves his own movie, but the way that the MCU goes, that would be pretty illogical right now to give that guy his own movie, because he's a guy who shoots people. But I like to see anything with him, and so I'm excited for that. Some people are complaining about the idea of the Punisher being in a Spider-Man movie, and they're saying basically, like, well, they're going to have to dumb down. They're going to have to censor this version of Punisher, right? Because this is the Punisher from the meme. This is the no, wait. This is the Punisher that's, like, mentally collapsing all the time, right? And is murdering people. And so they're like, well, how are we going to have that in a Spider-Man movie? This goofy Tom Holland movie. You can't have hardcore Punisher in a goofy Tom Holland movie. But the reality of the situation is, yeah, you kind of can. Because, and this is what I'm going to argue, is I think what they're going to do is that Spider-Man is going to stop him every time he's about to shoot someone. Unless they do the classic cut to something else, cut to off camera, someone got shot, right? Like, that happens in these type of films as well. But I think what will happen is it will be a very comical bit where every single time that Punisher is shooting, Spider-Man has to, like, stop the gun somehow, or he has to pull the person out of the way with a web. You can see how forcing the characters together could actually be great, and you wouldn't have to change Punisher. Keep Punisher the psychopath who wants to murder people, and then just make Spider-Man the guy who prevents him from doing it. We just saw in the Superman, the main character's Superman movie. Superman doesn't want to see anyone die. Now, this is ridiculous. Anyone with a brain can tell you it's ridiculous, and the movie itself more or less argues that Superman is wrong not wanting to see anyone die. You know why I think that? Because Hawkgirl murders somebody. I'm not going to give away the details, but she murders a person who we are led to believe it was a good thing that that person got murdered. So, that being the case... Oh, wait. Sorry. Is that word, like, banned on YouTube? I just checked and, like, the impressions just hit the floor or whatever. She unalives somebody. Is that's the nomenclature? The movie's basically admitting that there are times when you gotta do that, right? And so a Spider-Man movie can still ultimately have some hardcore stuff in it. But whenever Spider-Man is in the scene with Punisher, he has to stop Punisher from killing people. It's really not that hard to do. It's actually... It's challenging. You have to, like, write a good script, right? But you can do it. You can absolutely do it. You just have to think of clever ways that Spider-Man is constantly being tasked to stop Punisher from killing people. And I think there's lots of clever ways that could be done. So I'm really into it. I'm really down. I think, what seems pretty clear, the plot that suggests itself at this point is that because in No Way Home, and this is a spoiler for No Way Home, but I assume if you're watching this, you probably have seen it. At the end of No Way Home, they erase Spider-Man from existence. No one knows who he is, right? No one is aware of the... Wait, is that it? That might not be it. It might be that they erase... Yeah, no, they erase the existence of Peter Parker. I think that's what it is. Either way, I think what happens at the end of No Way Home results somehow in Spider-Man no longer being someone that the Avengers knows, that they are familiar with. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. If anyone knows this and they say I'm wrong, correct me. Like, I'm not pretending that I'm an expert on this thing, but this is just my... talking off the top of my head here. I'm pretty sure that because of the events of No Way Home, no one will know Spider-Man. And so if you don't know Spider-Man, what was the first Punisher story? Right? He's hired by, I think it's the Jackal, to kill Spider-Man because he thinks Spider-Man is a bad guy. Because there's lots of incidents where Spider-Man was next to somebody and they died, right? I think in this case, it was Captain Stacy. The death of Captain Stacy, I think, is what made Punisher think that Spider-Man was bad guy. And also, Punisher is just kind of a villain in that... anti-hero, right? In that original story. He's more hardcore, not more hardcore. He's just... the way I remember it, he doesn't care a whole lot about... he's more of an assassin, I think, is the way I remember it. But I could be wrong about that, too. But for sure what's going on is he thinks Spider-Man's a bad guy. So in the new movie, obviously the Punisher will think Spider-Man's a bad guy. And he'll just try to take him down because of that. And Spider-Man will have to convince him that he's not a bad guy. And, in a lot of ways, we've seen that movie a lot of times already. We've seen the superheroes fighting, and then they have to no, we should be on the same team. But I think that you could do it with this in a way that's really, really entertaining. And the movie's being directed by Daniel Destin. I don't remember the dude's name, but the guy who made the guy who made Shang-Chi, and I think that movie was very well directed. So I'm excited for that. The Spider-Man films, in my opinion, the Spider-Man films continue to be an outlier in the MCU. They've never had a bad movie. That's what I think. The Tom Holland Spider-Man films, I don't think have ever had a bad movie. I've heard many people complain about No Way Home. I haven't heard any what I consider to be really good complaints, but I think that trilogy is like solid, really solid. So I'd like to see what comes next. All right, let's go for one more story, and then I should probably get out of here and get some dinner with my fiance. Let's see here. Ooh. Okay. Now this I'm interested in, and I want to see this film. So I don't, for the record, I'm not like a huge fan of this director most of the time. He's a good director, but I just don't personally connect with a lot of what he does. But you're as into movies as I am, because I watch a lot of movies. Then you get to that point where you're just like, well, he's genius. He's a brilliant director. I don't really like him. Like, it happens. But so Ari Aster's new film, Eddington, is 2025's most divisive, provocative, and infuriating movie. But that's the point. This is an article from Slash Film, I believe. Or is it? Sorry, I suddenly don't know where it went. There it is. Okay. Yeah, Slash Film. All right. When the attack on Pearl Harbor happened in 1941, the media galvanized the tragedy into a general national mood of patriotism and got the majority of the country on board to stop the Axis powers. This was what the George W. Bush administration and others attempted to do in the aftermath of the September 11th attacks, only it wasn't just Osama bin Laden they targeted, but Iraq as well. From my perspective, as an elder millennial, it seems to me that American culture irreparably began to break after 9/11. The cognitive dissonance of that choice only increased given our access to the internet, a tool that allowed us, all of us, the ability to learn and investigate for ourselves. Thanks to the tragic event mixed with a brand new wellspring of information at our fingertips, the possibility of a prevailing narrative was greatly diminished, and things felt increasingly too complex and uncertain for the average citizen to bear. This is pretty complicated for an article that's supposed to be reviewing a movie or talking about a movie, but that's fine. That's fine. Thus began the early days of the criticism too soon, something which existed in uncomfortable opposition with the rallying cry, never forget. All right. This person is kind of not getting to the point. I mean, it's fine to write like this, but I want them to get to the point. So far, the most common criticism of Eddington is that it is a both sides film. One can see where this critique is coming from, as most satires poke fun at both sides of an issue. Mike Judge's Idiocracy is a film whose political leanings feel generally liberal, but whose jokes make sure to indict people on the left as much as the right, resulting in a film that comes off as libertarian. Judge's aim is not to be a political commentator, but a satirist, and his work making fun of both sides is merely him being a responsible satirist. There are glimpses of such satire, leading to libertarianism in Eddington, to be sure. Even so, one must appreciate the subtle yet key difference in Astor's approach to the material. Instead of merely looking to make everyone look equally foolish, Astor uses the trappings of the Western and noir genres to set up America in microcosm. Okay. Well, I kind of, I apologize for even reading that, because that was so friggin' convoluted. Eddington is a movie about 2020. That's what I've seen. That's what the trailers suggest. It's a movie about... the King says, "Welcome to Costco, I love you." Yes. That's Idiocracy, for those of you who don't know. Eddington is a film set in, I believe, a small town in New Mexico in 2020. when everything kind of goes nuts. And I'm fairly certain that it ends with everyone going. If you've ever seen Needful Things or read the book Needful Things, I have a feeling it's going to head towards something like that. And I don't know. I haven't heard that from anybody. I'm not spoiling anything because I'm not aware, but that's what it feels like it's going to go towards. So I will watch Eddington just because I am curious. It's the only thing from Ari Aster recently that I really was interested to watch. I think he's a good director again, but welcome to Freedom Fighter Girl says, welcome to Grant's Restaurant. We love children. See, does everybody know what she's referencing there? Does everybody know this? Okay, I'm going to try to find this. Grant's Restaurant. Try to find that there. Okay, yeah. I can't, no, is it here? Yeah, here we go. So, there was this place called Grant's Restaurant. And it had the most uncomfortable catchphrase. I can't find the picture, but it does exist. And I'm not going to say it because I don't want YouTube to like think ill of me or anyone to like clip this out of like context. But yeah, read that comment that Freedom Fire Girl put up. That's like the slogan of Grant's Restaurant, or it was at one time, and it's like, you're making me feel uncomfortable. I don't want to come here with my family, and that was the whole point. You wanted me to come here with my family, so this is awkward, and I'm going to leave now. That's my response to that. Grant's Restaurant. By the way, are they named after Ulysses S. Grant? Because that would make it weird too. But yeah, Grant's Restaurant had a weird catchphrase. So we'll leave it at that. All right. Well, I think that about wraps things up. I am aiming to get my next video out this upcoming Friday. And I'm going to try to get back on an every other week schedule. Because, I don't know. I moved. I got a new job. All this stuff happened. And so it's been difficult for me to stay kind of focused on making things consistent. And I apologize for that. And I'm going to try to turn things around as best as I can. Next video is a Twilight Zone video. And then the one after that is going to be a Donald Duck video. And I'm going to try to vary things enough that, because at this point I don't have a lot of my subscribers watching my videos, and I think it's because I have a lot of different type of subscribers that want different type of videos. And so I'm going to try to serve up each of those on a regular enough basis. But I've really set myself a really difficult task just doing all these different subjects, because it really would have been smarter of me to pick a specific niche. It's just that if I did pick a specific niche, I would get bored of it so quickly, it wouldn't be worth it. I would abandon the channel, so I feel like I have to do it this way. I don't know any other way to do it. So, as I say, Twilight Zone video coming up, then a Donald video, and then I'm going to try to... Then my hope is to do like something on an obscure film or piece of animation. So, thank you to everybody who supports me. I don't know if this is true, but from videos I've seen recently, people are suggesting that engagement might be the most important thing now, because YouTube redid its algorithm, and people are suggesting that maybe engagement is the most important thing. So if you see this, please like, please comment, anything to engage. I really, really appreciate it. I mean, I feel like when I say things like that, even though I'm not directly asking for money, I feel like I'm e-begging, when I say, please like and please share and all that. But I really have to ask, and many of you have done that so far. So thank you so much. But if you haven't, I please have to ask that you do it, just because I think that YouTube is paying a lot more attention now to that than they were previously. I could be wrong, but it looks like that might be the case. And so if it is the case, for instance, an engaged view, they seem to care about more than a normal view. I don't know if that's the whole story. I think there's a lot more to it than that, but it's, you know, if you like my channel, if you like what I do, please like, share, comment, because it really helps. And I'm trying my best to, you know, to like make this like an okay channel, like make it like a medium level channel of some kind at least. So thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. I can't tell you how much. Thank you for watching this stream, to those of you who watch, and we're going to go ahead and call it a day. Everybody out there, have a great Saturday, and, you know, let me know in the comments, what did you think of Superman and Robot Walt?